because I could see that working well with education to create training videos and, make them better, and reinvent those too.
That's right. We do have a lot of those uses. We have a lot of internal comms teams that use Augie. Also, to take things like, let's say the CEO gives a keynote at a conference and has a 45-minute speech. Well, just like you and I chop up highlights from our podcasts, so do social media teams for mega companies need to do the same thing. So there's plenty of use that we're seeing. We also have some educational use happening. We have a couple of film classes at a variety of high schools that we've given them free use of Augie to go help their students learn the basics of things like storyboarding, which Augie does automatically. Again, not with the goal of them doing everything with AI, but with the goal of them understanding how to experiment with storytelling before, for example, filming, right? The most expensive part of making any video is filming. And so if
Exactly.
you can shortcut that or pre-optimize it using, like we use a Getty stock assets to build your prototype. So if you can see like, oh, I want to have, a man and a woman walking along the beach at sunset, and then, they're going to go off and play in the water and a dog comes, and that's going to be my, think about every pharma ad, right? If you can prototype the whole thing and save all that money before going down to actually shoot. We even had a film student as an intern last summer making a historical film all on top of Augie. So we've always made it accessible to educational facilities so that we like the idea that businesses can pay for it and educational use can be for free so that we can help support other people who want to get their stories out. That's always been just sort of really important to me.
Wow, that's great. You mentioned that with that example of the film industry. It's funny because in instructional design, we do prototyping, we do storyboarding, we do that kind of same thing so that way, like you said, you don't, so when we go to create the e-learning or some type of micro learning, we're not spending all that time in the development stage and producing it and then having to go back and make a bunch of changes because it costs time. It costs a lot of money too. Time is money, right? So
Time
it's
is
it's
money.
expensive. Yeah. So we actually do, and I'm teaching a class right now about that very thing, and it's about organizational and workplace development. So it's all about how OKRs, like objectives and key results, and how do you help a company do that? But one of the things they're doing is they're having to um, do a prototype and do a storyboard, and then later on in the course. So this, we're in topic 2 right now, and then in topic 5 they actually build the e-learning module. So it's for it's for a fake company, but it's kind of neat because it gets them that opportunity to really dive in and do that. But I could see your platform working really well for that industry too, for learning and development, instructional design, those that are in because it's a growing, I don't know if you know this, Jeremy, but instructional design is all across everywhere. It's in military, higher ed, corporate, nonprofit. So anytime you hear someone saying learning and development and I do this, that's what I do. So it's pretty
Amazing.
fascinating. Yeah. So there's a lot of parallels too between the creative fields. So it's neat how we do this kind of those similar things that they do in the creative arts as well. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it is creative, right? Like I think about, half of the stuff that we'll watch on the YouTube is an instructional video of some kind, whether I'm being like edutained by like a Mark Rober or whatever, or some random channel like that you follow, like half the time we're on YouTube getting some kind of instruction on something. So I could easily see like that demand. Actually, we had been working with a company that does industrial machinery, and they wanted to take their instruction manual and effectively bring it to life. And so they've been doing that in Augie. And so they took, they scanned in, or I guess they already had the digital, so that doesn't make sense. But they uploaded all of the frames of each page of the manual and then used generative tools to, if it was like a wireframe, one of those like wireframe
Yeah.
styles, and they
Right.
just had, they're still doing it, but they have like the guys walking, not just standing, or picking up the ladder, so you can bring those things to life in a really interesting way.
That's great. And hopefully they've got an instructional designer that will look at that later because That's one of the misconceptions, is that someone can take something in print form and put it in digital form and just plop it in and it'll work. And I'm like, well, we got to make sure there's no cognitive overload, that learners, because there's only so much our brain can process at one time. So that's why I'm really interested in doing consulting work and things like that, because then I can kind of help bring, companies along and say, okay, great, you want to do that, but let's make sure, is it going to still work for learners? Is it still going to make the same impact for them?